This Collate solution is a little special, and we've got a new feature, Google Drive, and we have a new team member to do it with. I'd like to welcome Collate solution engineer Aydin Geeringh. And how you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm good and you, Sean. Thanks for the nice tee up and intro. Very excited to get into the Google Drive connector. I know my previous company with that they called it Google Maze. So being able to unpack that is definitely a big help.
Yeah, I mean, I like Google Drive a lot, and when we announced that it was coming, I, I I couldn't wrap my head around what it was supposed to be. Like, what does that look like? Like, why would I bring in Google Drive? So they once I saw it, it's like, oh, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. So we introduced this new category in services called drives, and currently it supports Google Drive, and other services are coming from what I was told. So what I want to do is kind of hook that up. You've got some experience with it, show what that looks like, kind of what's involved, and kind of why we care, what and where we go from there. Are you ready for that?
Definitely. I would like to note that, the typical user of these kind of data platforms is like a data engineer, but that's only like 20% of the people in the world. Most people, they're used to Excel spreadsheet or, working in a Word document. They don't want to deal with all the
Yeah.
databases and that kind of thing. And that's kind of to bridge the gap between the technical and the business users. So they also get value out of the platform, not just, the getting the definitions of a data asset, but also getting the context they need for all their data they're looking for and unpacking that Google maze. Can you see my screen?
I can indeed.
Okay, awesome. So like all the other connectors in Collate, we're going to go to the settings tab and we're going to go to services. And then you'll see here we have the new section under services, which is the drives. And as you mentioned, we have one drive connect at the moment. So that is Google Drive, but it's on our roadmap to get all the main drives in the space. So Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, basically anything Microsoft, and anything kind of wheelhouse.
Nice.
I'm going to jump into the Google Drive connector, give it a nice little name. Let's say My Drive, and we can go next. And the nice thing about Collate is if you're ever unsure of what all these overwhelming boxes are, we have on the side all the documentation you need so that you're equipped to fill this out and you're not breaking anything. So when you
Yeah.
leave it kind of as is, because these are kind of the default way to connect. You can either connect via values. So you can chat to your company admin and they'll set you up in Google Cloud Console for those credentials so that the worker agent can then connect to your drive. Otherwise, you can go through
Okay.
all these various other connection options.
Okay.
So we're just going to leave that as is. You can see it's got connection type. It's just going to be a service account. We're going to populate this information that you get from the Google Cloud Console. So pre the recording, I've got all these details here. So I'm just going to quickly copy and paste it over, and then we can start jumping into what this looks like.
Okay.
We got the project ID, got that as Drive Connector 1, nice and easy to remember. Our private key, we have our actual private key, not just the ID. And what I'd like to note with Collate, you'll see that there's this little icon over here with the I crossed out. That shows that this is going to be a password or a secret. So you can either connect this with your secrets manager or Collate has its own built-in secrets manager. So I'm going to copy this in and I don't need to worry about anyone leaking that information, even though we're on video, because it automatically masks that for me. Obviously I can click that there and then I can see it.
Don't do it.
I'm going to click, I want to shut this down and then we can continue as is. Then just going to populate the rest of these fields. And then the last one is that X509 URL. So you'll see I haven't populated all the information. There is some additional information down here. This is for when you want to connect at a company level. So you want to be able to see those shared drives that are within your company and not just drive. And then also if you're connecting to this shared drive, you will need to chat to your Google Cloud Console admin, and you can then delegate the email. So I can then within Collate add my email here and a specific drive ID if I wanted to only look at that specific drive, so that if there is any changes or ingestions happening, it's already associating me as the user. I'm also just going to
Okay.
include Google Sheets because I think that's really relevant. And then we can click test connection to see if I actually did this all correct. There we go. 100%, 3 successes for check access, get drive files, and get spreadsheet. So we can click OK, and then we go next. Now, similar to the other connectors in Collate, if we want to filter to only see specific directory files, spreadsheets, or even the worksheets within your spreadsheet. So in Microsoft Excel terms, this is your spreadsheet is going to be your workbook, and then the worksheet is going to be the sheets in that workbook. So what that means is even if you have access to the file and you might want to hide specific sheets, you can do that so that even that you can't see those specific sheets if you don't want them to be seen by users. I'm just going to click save.
That's pretty cool.
And now we've added the drive connector. So now we want to set up the agent to run so that we can either periodically ingest this information from Drive, or we can then on demand click a button and then it's going to run. I'm going to leave the little gibberish at the end there just for the demo purposes, but we can have all these different features that we want. So either it's going to mark if the directory files or whatever the case might be have been deleted, and then also include whatever information we can get. So if you're on a Google Cloud or Google Workspace Teams or organization enterprise license, you're going to be able to tag those various documents, your PDFs, your files in Google Drive. So we have that feature incorporated. We're not going to see that there, but we're going to jump the fence here and allow Collate to give us those tags in the platform. I'm just going
Okay, so it's going to infer like it does with everything else.
Yeah, exactly. We can set up automations to add those tags to these files and the various data assets we're going to be ingesting. Or if we're on that enterprise license, we can ingest those tags as well. So it pre-populates it if we've tagged it and has that kind of labels in Google Workspace terms already on our file system.
Okay.
And there we go. It's deployed. I'm just going to click.
Nice.
And then in a couple seconds, we should have some metadata. We have 8 success. So that's indicating that 8 data assets have been ingested into Collate. And we should be able to see that in our insights pane and then the directories. So let me go to direct. So we can see here we have 2 directories, 1 file, 1 spreadsheet, and then 2 worksheets. So 1 workbook, 2 sheets in Excel terms. So we have a I've ingested the description. I haven't ingested any owners, but I can easily add an owner, similar as I've done already for the service connection, and also the tiers. So let's go into demo, which is just that folder structure. We can see, okay, I have a child folder as well, or it's a directory. So we know that's a child folder. We got our description. Yeah. We can certify this. We can add the tiers and owner. I'll just add the customer team, for example, and also incorporate that into a domain. And what I'd like to note here, top right, is you can view in Google Drive directly. So if I click that button, it will take me straight into Google Drive, into this folder, into this directory, and then I'm in the context I need to. That translates over to a lot of our connectors, such as Snowflake and Power BI, where there should be a button, and you just click it, and then it hops you directly into the platform you need.
That's very nice.
Then,
so if we continue to drill down into the doc, so we've got this hierarchy, children. So we go in there, and then files are in there.
Yeah, and then we see that I have a little PDF file, such as type file, and it's the Collate data asset definition file, and it gives also a little description. And if this wasn't populated with a description, I can either use our various AI agents in the platform, our new Ask Collate functionality, or our MCP server functionality for this to be populated using AI if you don't want to do the old-fashioned thing of writing it manually with the mouse and keyboard. So if I that file, then we get some information. Obviously, a PDF, we're only going to get the metadata. So that isn't really where the true value of the new Google Drive connector shines.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to jump back to the top level and we can see here spreadsheets. This is kind of where it is most applicable for your data user. Because as a data engineer, you might not necessarily have your data stored in a structured relational database. You might just want to populate stuff from HubSpot or LinkedIn directly into a spreadsheet, which is easy to use and to manage. It doesn't have all that overhead and bloatware. So we can see here
Yep.
we got one.
Spreadsheets are very popular.
Yeah, they're very popular. So you can see we got a sales engagement spreadsheet. I haven't added a description or anything, so I can add that in the platform itself. But let's dive into this and see what we got. Okay. So we have the same as before. We can follow this data asset. We can view it in Google Drive, as well as give it some metadata of who's the ownership, the quality of it, and which domain does it fall under. Since it's also sales, we can kind of put that in. Let's just put it in product domain. That makes sense. Now we got
Okay.
post sales and pre sales. These are the two worksheets. So if I click on pre sales, for example, also we can view it in Google Drive. We got version history, and now we have the specific columns in that workbook, which is amazing. I can see, okay, we got
Yeah.
contact person, email, lead source, all this great information ingested directly from a Google Google Sheets. So
So
that's
the
great.
metadata from a spreadsheet.
So that's something that in a spreadsheet you usually don't get. You're just filling it in, and until you convert that into a table, it will start to infer those
Yeah.
types. But we've ingested it, and it's inferred those types for us, which is great. So this is also helping us when we try and add some structure to that Google Sheet. But I would like to know
Nice.
the domain is pre-populated from the parent entity, which is the sheets. So it follows that hierarchical nature where if something is part of one domain, all the children data assets or features or attributes are then also going to inherit that same functionality. Hence why we got that little inherited domains icon over there. But you'll see that, oh, there's something potentially wrong with this information. It's deleted. It's no longer in my Google Sheets or in my Drive.
Oh,
So we got at least some information here that from the version control and history that we've gotten that information, but then it's been marked as deleted because it's no longer in use. And we'll be able to capture that in the version history. So we can see we ingested it, but then the ingestion bot also indicated that this data asset has actually been deleted. It's no longer being used. So that's really great also when without having to scrape through the Google maze, trying to find where this potential spreadsheet
yeah.
is. We can find it in Collate using natural language search or AI, and then already see that, okay, this is definitely not the spreadsheet I'm supposed to be using. There needs to be something else. So I can then either follow that up with the product domain or whoever the owner might be. And then I
Yeah.
can point it in the right direction of what is the data and spreadsheet I'm actually supposed to be using for the task at hand, which is a really, really nifty feature. Even though this is the,
That's yeah,
yeah,
that's actually really handy. We use, Drive internally quite a bit, and we have a lot of assets in there, and it can be difficult finding and knowing what's the current one because old ones don't get deleted, they just sort of get left behind. Interesting. That's cool. So what about lineage? That's like the popular thing to do and an important feature.
yeah. So you'll see actually populated some information as well here. We got some tags and some descriptions. But if we go to lineage, you can see I've connected those two worksheets together. So pre-sales and post-sales. Me being let me assign it now, the owner of this data asset. I know that they're
Okay.
related. I'm going to have some pre-sales information and these are going to be my prospects and I want to convert them into customers. And then that would potentially lead to a downstream dashboard. So I can then connect these together manually. And you can see that here by showing the source of the lineage. And if there's any kind of SQL queries involved, I can add that here. Or if it is a part of these kind of workflows with your more traditional database, it's going to automatically ingest this. But then I can already start to populate this kind of information so that if someone is looking at this Excel workbook, and there's millions of sheets, and it's potentially, a great use cases for the finance industry, where they're going to have their discounted cash flows, and they're going to have an input sheet and various sheets for their calculations and their financial statements. Now you can kind of see the auditability and traceability of how that data is potentially dependent on one another. So we can have our inputs and then our outputs. And then those who are looking at that spreadsheet now can click on, first look at Collate, then click on the Google Drive button, go back into that context window, and then see how that data is moving and have a lot more understanding using the lineage and the schema information we've extracted to enact some action in the platform of choice.
This is really a powerful feature, given that so many, man, back when I was like an IT director and stuff, we had applications. You'd always get somebody slurping data out and put it in a spreadsheet, which then disconnected it from the live data. And then they're doing things, and maybe it related still, maybe it didn't. Nobody knew what was happening because they had just disconnected it. And this allows the larger system to get to those tools that, a lot of people like to use. And it's convenient for them. They're familiar with them. They can self-service with them. And this allows the data, what's the right word, data science, data engineering department, to be able to kind of manage that and keep their hands around it. So it's like, oh, you know what, we'll let you use the things that you like. We just need to put it within our framework so we know where everything's coming and going.
And I don't know if you've ever in an Excel workbook ever tried to add comments or notes into the file. It's always for me a nightmare, because there's always got that like little ribbon, and you can very easily overlook it, and then you're going to miss all this kind of metadata and context. So we now
Yeah.
have a platform to give you that information. So even though I have a column with some rows, I have that definition and description of what that is, and then I can either edit it or request an update or have a conversation about it. So without swamping the information in front of me, I'm kind of abstracting that away, allowing the conversation to happen in your normal environment. So in like a Slack channel, and then you can collaborate accordingly without having to swamp down with all this additional stuff that's just going to make the file size so large that you can no longer run it on your poor little local computer.
Well, that is very nice. I'm excited about this feature. Well, thank you, Aydin. I appreciate you taking the time to walk me through it, or walk all of us through it. And I got some more insights that I hadn't gleaned yet, so I appreciate it.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, Sean. Thanks for the time.
Until next time.